World Club Series, if not the World Club Challenge itself, was thought to be in a bit of jeopardy, a lack of interest from the NRL side of things. 4 teams turned down the opportunity to come before Brisbane accepted, so we certainly needed a good result from the Northern Hemisphere teams, and that's what we got. What impact that's going to have, though, remains to be seen, because no one from the NRL came. So there was no official from the NRL here for the 2 games over the weekend, and the impact it's going to have on them, they're the ones who are going to be, I guess, supporting or not the continuation of the concept. So the jury's out as to what impact it's really going to have.
And do you think that fans over here in Greater Manchester, of course, were behind the Wigan side, we saw that from the crowd last night. Further afield, there was a big crowd out at Warrington and there's been a lot of excitement. But what's the thought of the fans over in Australia?
I think it probably varies. I mean, I'm not there, so I can only tell from looking at social media. But I think some of them actually do look at these matches like, say, a Man U going out to Asia or Australia to play exhibition games, and the results really don't matter. And I guess if a Western Sydney Wanderers managed to beat Man City in an off-season game, they get very excited in Sydney, and no one would really be too concerned back here. And I think that probably is, unfortunately, I don't agree with that viewpoint, but I think that's unfortunately the perspective of a lot of Australian fans, and judging by the absence of NRL officials, maybe the perspective of them as well, that these are just pre-season friendlies. The clubs can arrange them as much as they want, but the NRL's involvement seems to be minimal.
Now, Joe Burgess is one of the great young talents in this area. He scored a hat-trick last night, but when he went down to play for Sydney Roosters and for South Sydney in the NRL, he had mixed success levels.
Yeah, he did. He's only lasted half a season at Sydney Roosters. He's a bit mistake prone, but actually did settle in quite well at South Sydney. And I did find myself asking Cronulla players before the game, will he be targeted, etc., try to get a few more errors out of him, because we did see a few last season in the NRL. They all said no. I suspected that maybe they did perhaps go into the game seeing him as a bit of a weakness because of what they saw in 2016, but he was anything but a weakness, finishing with a hat-trick. Although I've got to say, it'd be easy to make Joe Burgess your man of the match because he scored 3 tries, but it was a grinding game, and the game was probably one in the middle, and Cronulla just came up with too many errors.
Now, over here, rugby league's a sport with a lot of tribalism, and that's part of the reason people get behind the likes of Joe Burgess as a hometown lad. Over in Australia, perhaps the cross-pollination of players is a bit bigger, and you're playing teams from further afield. How do you feel the game varies in that sense?
Yeah, that's difficult. As an experience, as a journalist covering the game in Australia and covering it here, it's very different. In Australia, it's everyone's very uptight and tense, and even though I've got a lot of good friends in the game in Australia, sometimes you don't actually get to be friends with people until after they've left the game, because the stakes are so high and everyone is so tense and uptight and ambitious. And here I find things a lot more relaxed. There's a good community. Everyone supports each other. We saw my colleague Gary Carter was attacked in the street a year and a half ago. The way the game, rallied around him with, even the England team wearing warm-up shirts. Keep fighting Gaz on the back. Now, I'm not saying the game in Australia is certainly supportive of people who fall on hard times. We saw with Alex McKinnon, sadly, who was badly injured in a tackle a few years ago. But it's not so easy to mobilise a community in Australia, and it's a bit more fragmented, and it takes longer to make things happen. Whereas here, I find that people are closer together, and some of those external pressures are absent, and it's a positive thing. I think if you're involved in the game here, that it isn't so serious. You can actually enjoy your own involvement, and you can enjoy your relationships and friendships a little bit more.
Now, at Keys, we're proud of being a Salford-based publication. We're run by the University of Salford, and Salford Red Devils have just made a huge signing of Todd Carney. From an outside point of view, obviously he was a star in the NRL, but had disciplinary issues. What's your verdict on him and what he can have?
Well, I'm not really sure why Todd left Catalans. I haven't really read much about that. I'd be curious to find out a little bit more, but he's certainly an outstanding player, and I thought in his first year here in Super League he would be the man of steel, and I think only injury probably has prevented him realising his potential on a sort of a long-term basis. I think he showed more than a glimpse of what he can do when he's at Catalans, and I think, and I'm not just saying this because of the audience, I think he could totally transform Salford as a team. I think he could really turn them into contenders if you can keep him on the pitch and keep him on something approaching top form.
Now, in terms of other star players in the sport, over here in the Northwest, there's often a big pull to rugby union. Recently we've seen two massive stars in Dennis Solomona go from Casper Tigers and Josh Charnley go from Wigan, both moved to Sale Sharks. You don't quite have that relationship with rugby union in Australia.
Oh, I think it has happened in the past, and it will happen again. The players have gone to the Wallabies, and I think it will happen again, and certainly Toulon, have just taken Ben Barber. So I think I don't think the NRL is immune to sort of predatory raids from rugby union. Obviously, Sonny Bill Williams was one of the most high-profile ones we've seen in the last decade, and rugby union is there is still this threat, I think, of rugby union taking players who are under contract, and now this new argument that because rugby league is a completely different sport, you can retire from rugby league like you could retire from chess and take up rugby union, and that's a dangerous argument. Dangerous for it's a fight that rugby league has to have. I guess the argument from rugby union's point of view is that you want to be a different sport from the point of view of getting government funding, signing your own TV contracts. You want to be able to take our players in developing areas like America or the Middle East, and yet when it suits you, you want to say that you're the same sport and your contracts are binding in our sport. So I guess from their point of view, that they're saying to rugby league, you can't have your cake and eat it too. But if you have a contract to do anything and you stop doing it, then you breach your contract. So I think I really like to see rugby league sort of stick on their dig and really fight that battle over Dennis Solomona. But I don't think the NRL is immune to losing players to rugby union. Semi Red Radra has also just signed to come to Europe and play rugby union.
And how as a sport can that be countered? Of course, rugby league is hoping to achieve sport code status this year. Will that have any impact?
I think the biggest problem regarding sport accord at the moment, which most of the viewers wouldn't be aware of, is that a number of rugby league playing countries are so upset with the RLIF that they're threatening to rebel and break away. And you need certain numbers to get to the sport accord level. I think it might be 70, it might be that high. Rugby league is confident that it has reached that figure legitimately, but because there was an emerging nations tournament planned in conjunction with this year's World Cup, and it was subsequently being blocked by the World Cup organisers with the backing of the RLIF, a number of countries are saying, well, we didn't get anything from the RLIF in the first place, so how can they stop us? What loyalty do we owe them anyway? We never got anything from them. And if rugby league's numbers were to go down at just at the 11th hour when it's hoping for sport accord recognition, that would be disastrous. So I think that's the biggest issue facing David Collier, who is the CEO of the RLIF right now.
Now, if we look at countries participating in rugby league, one of the most exciting things this year is the introduction of Toronto Wolfpack to the British system. They played their first Challenge Cup game this weekend against Siddle, but if they get home during the Challenge Cup, they'll be playing here in Manchester at the Etihad's reserve stadium.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Toronto Wolfpack in that it allows the game to break out of break through a lot of the prejudices and the social and cultural historical barriers that it's always faced. It's a brand new venture backed by an Australian mining magnate called David Argyle, and I like the model. I like the fact that, and again, I'm not being cynical here. There's a team called Toronto who are based in Brickhouse with a coach who won't even live in the same country as his team name. And you might say that's fake, but actually it's a very smart model, which could be. I mean, seriously, why couldn't we have a team called Chicago in Featherstone? I mean, there's no reason. If they went back there and played 4 games in a month, every second month, then it is exactly the same, and it allows you to. I know there's a risk that there'd be no grassroots put down as far as junior development, but I think there is. Canadian Rugby League are very ambitious and very dynamic, and it allows you to do it in a manageable fashion financially. So there's no reason why, if this model works, if Toronto do bounce straight up to Super League in a couple of years, that we can't have teams from anywhere, including even the Southern Hemisphere. I mean, again, like I've been saying since the late '90s, an English team in the NRL would be a wonderful thing. But I know that the problem is that we have a problem now with Super League. It will completely decimate Super League. But the opposite is also equally possible, that a team from the Southern Hemisphere, teams who can't get into the NRL, like Perth or Wellington, Central Queensland, Central Coast, New South Wales have been trying for years to get in the NRL. There's no reason why they can't do exactly what Toronto are doing and end up playing in the Northern Hemisphere. All the arguments against it logistically have been since proven to be not significant. The teams would just be doing, the away teams would just be doing what Brisbane and Cronulla did last week. You arrive the previous Sunday, spend a week preparing, go sightseeing in Paris in the case of Carney, and then you play your game, go home. So and the cost of maintaining a team at that level would not be the same as the NRL. Obviously, because I would suggest that Toronto Wolfpack's expenditure on players is a fraction of what an NRL team would be. So, I think it's a really exciting venture for the game, and even if the Australians can be accused of being insular, I think there's an opportunity for the game here to sort of run through a few gaps that the Aussies have left in their defence.
Now, occasionally, views like that on expansion will see people labelled the fantasies, but do you think that Rugby League needs to think bigger?
That's a nebulous question which I can provide a glib answer for. Does Rugby League need to think big? I think I don't think it can afford to remain parochial because other sports are intruding on its turf. I mean, when I first came to this country in 1990, I went to a Challenge Cup semi-final at the Old Central Park. It was my first game in this country, and I'm writing a book at the moment, so I was looking back at that time, and the other semi-final had been played at Old Trafford, the Challenge Cup semi-final at Old Trafford. So you look at how far the game, the first Kangaroos who came here in 1908, they played test matches in London, Newcastle. I think they might have played in Scotland. They were on tour in Wales for a month, the 1908 Kangaroos. So to say that Rugby League's not expanding is incorrect. It's contracted. It's contracted since 1908. The big TV sports, they've got a lot of money and they've got ambition, they have a plan, and they're also working in a generational way like the American sports. Particularly, and in Australia, the AFL. The AFL are putting posts in government. Like they're basically funding government grounds and putting AFL posts up and saying the only condition is other codes can't be played there. They're planning for the current fans' kids and their kids. And I see rugby league just stumbling from one week to the next in both hemispheres often, and that certainly concerns me.
Now, one of the reasons that Toronto are playing here in Manchester, if they get home during the Challenge Cup, is because Manchester Rangers are looking to enter the professional rugby league pyramid over here in Britain. Is there not worried that if overseas expansion was done, it might be at the expense of a club in Manchester?
Well, I think you'll find that the RFL have a view that they want more teams in places with exits off motorways, and I think that certainly a team called Manchester would be a wonderful asset to the game here, and I'll be very surprised if it didn't receive the full support of Red Hall. Having said that, Toronto's backed by a millionaire, and that regardless of where that team was based, if you have someone who's willing to plough in a lot of money, then that they probably have a more chance of succeeding and flourishing than a team that doesn't have that sort of money behind them, and it wouldn't matter where you were from. I think that what the game is trying to do is find rich people in places it wants to expand, which is easily said, but not easily done. And Dr. Moen Kukash is one of those people. And if Manchester Rangers want to eventually be playing against Salford, then they've got to find their own Dr. Kukash.
Just finally, then, I think that's a nice idea that everyone would get on board with. We've already had a 2-0 series win in the World Cup series for Super League. We've got a World Cup coming up at the end of the year. There's the introduction of Toronto Wolfpack. Is this the biggest year for rugby league since the turn of the century?
Which century? Certainly it's certainly the biggest year for rugby league in this country since the turn of the century. I was saying earlier today that in 1994. When teams from this part of the world in all sports weren't going as well as they are now, I think it was an intercept in the second test on the 1994 Kangaroo Tour that kept the series alive. And Australia, actually 1990 Kangaroo Tour, an intercept in the second test kept the series alive, and Australia subsequently won that series. And if that intercept hadn't been taken, the trajectory of the sport in this country could have been completely different. There's a sliding doors moment for the sport in this country. You won't get that chance again because you know obviously all the Olympic sports are going very well. The rugby union team's going well. The soccer team still underachieved somewhat, but you don't have that. You don't have that opportunity again. Rugby league will never have that opportunity again. So it's going to be much harder for it to make those gains and to have the likes of Martin Fire and Sean Edwards and Ellery Hamley being recognisable in London. You know, that probably won't happen even if England win the World Cup. So it is a very important year, but even if it goes swimmingly well, even if 100% positive results, it's still a hard road to hoe for rugby league.